From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Roger Mudd substituting for Walter Cronkite, and Tom Fenton in the Sinai, John Sheehan in Cairo, John Lawrence near Jabba, Syria, Don Webster in Beirut, Richard Wagner in San Diego, and in Washington, Dan Rather, Daniel Shore, Fred Graham, Bob Schieffer, and Charles Kuralt on the road tonight in Mariposa, California.
Good evening. President Nixon today asked the Congress for authority to spend $2.2 billion on arms for Israel, most of it on planes, tanks, and missile systems. While the Nixon administration has pledged to keep Americans out of the Middle East fight, there are Americans aiding the Israeli effort. Bob Schieffer reports from Washington.
About 20 American military technicians have been assigned to Israeli airports since the fighting broke out 2 weeks ago. But military officials here say the new arrivals include only communications specialists, men who will unload the planes, and a Pentagon camera crew that is making a movie about the airlift. Defense Secretary James Schlesinger, who returned to Washington tonight after viewing some military war games in North Carolina, called the assignments routine. He told John Meyer there is no chance the men will become involved in the combat.
Could this become another Vietnam?
I cannot conceive of the circumstances under which it would become another Vietnam.
We're told that some of these men are reservists, U.S. reservists. What about that?
Well, as you know, the Military Airlift Command does draw on reservists under certain circumstances, but no reservists have been called up, and there is no intention to call up any reservists at this stage.
Meanwhile, both the United States and the Soviet Union continued to pour supplies into the Middle East today. U.S. planes are now bringing about 700 tons of rockets, bombs, and ammunition in per day, and more American fighter planes and tanks are on the way to Israel. The Soviets have a similar airlift underway into Syria and Egypt. U.S. intelligence now reports that the Soviets have also given Egypt 35 new Russian fighter planes. Bob Schieffer, CBS News, Washington.
In the Middle East today, Israel claimed its task force is now 20 miles west of the Suez Canal and about 50 miles from Cairo. One Israeli spokesman said the road to Cairo is wide open. Another said the Egyptians are throwing suicide squads at the advancing Israelis. U.S. intelligence sources confirm the Israeli gains. They say Israelis have put at least 3 pontoon bridges across the canal, and 300 tanks and 12,000 soldiers already have crossed. One Pentagon source said the Israelis are moving right through the Egyptian surface-to-air missile systems on the West Bank. Israel said its other forces on the East Bank are at the same time trying to swing behind the huge Egyptian force in the Sinai and trap it. Israel claims to have destroyed 70 tanks and downed 25 Egyptian planes today. Egypt, however, admits none of this and says that fierce tank battles are underway east of the Suez. More on the fighting from Tom Fenton and John Sheehan.
Egyptian attempts to break out of their narrow strip on the east bank of the Suez Canal, the Israelis are still holding a defense line within sight of the canal. And 3 days ago, they crossed the canal. These are the first films of Israeli forces on the west bank of the Suez Canal, taken